Welcome to Lexington Community Gardens. The purpose of this orientation video is to give you a tour of the gardens and show you where everything is, so let's get started. So the Idlewild Community Garden has two sides. We have Idlewild West, which has plots 1A through 40A, and we have on the other side, let's walk this way, we have Idlewild East, which has plots 1 through 70. The community garden has two parking areas, one off Lincoln Street, which is the one you can see here, and then the one on the far side is off Middle Street. We ask that when you come, you please park your car in one of the parking areas. It's fine to pull up to a gate to unload your items, but when you are done, please move your car to one of the parking areas, either off Lincoln Street or Middle Street. Also next to the Lincoln Street parking area is our lovely rock pile. We ask that when you are working your garden plot and you come up with rocks, that you please put the rocks in the rock pile. Don't put them in the pathways, because when we come to mow, it makes it very dangerous if the mower should hit a rock. So please add to our lovely rock pile. The community gardens also has several compost bins, which are for putting plant materials only. As you can see, this one, someone has dumped trash in there. We don't want to put trash because trash doesn't compost. So if you generate trash, we ask that you please take it home and throw it out there. Please use the compost bins only for plant materials. Okay, here we are on the Middle Street side of the garden. Middle Street's behind us. The East Garden is to our right, and the West Garden is to our left. And if you look just up from the East Garden, you'll see our tool shed in between the garden and the parking area. And here we keep hoses and water barrels and the mower and the weed whacker. And then if you look down towards the West Side Garden, you will see our garden kiosk and our water station. So let's go take a closer look at the kiosk and the water station. Okay, here we are at the kiosk and the water station. The kiosk for the garden contains information like the garden maps. It's got a copy of the garden policies, and other information might get posted there throughout the season as we go along. And next to the kiosk we have our water station. So you can see the water station has spigots with hoses. These ones over here, 1 through 5, are for the East Side Garden, and the ones on this side, 6 through 8, are for the West Side Garden. And each hose corresponds with a water barrel, which is set up in the garden, and that's how we use to water our garden. There's no hose watering. We get the water from the water barrels. So the important thing to remember is when you are filling the water barrels, that you remain at the water station. Do not leave the water station and leave the hoses filling unattended. All right, let's go check out the water barrels. All right, so here are our water barrels. We have 3 set up on the west side and 5 set up on the east side. And this is how we get water for our garden. The water comes out of the spigot at the bottom. Most people will bring either a watering can or a bucket or something to fill to take back to their plots. This is the hose that fills the water barrel. And on the top here we have this pool noodle, which will tell you the level of the water in the water barrel. So if you don't see the noodle, that means the water level is very low and the barrel needs to be filled. If you can see the noodle popping up, it means the water level is high and the barrel is filled. The very important thing to remember is when you use water from the water barrel, please fill it when you are finished. There's nothing more frustrating than coming down to the garden, getting ready to water, and the barrel is empty and you have to spend all that time filling. So use water, replace the water when you're done. All right, let's talk a little bit about the garden plots. All right, so we have 2 types of plots here at the community garden. This is a half plot, which is 10 feet by 20 feet. We also have full plots, which are 20 feet by 20 feet. Each plot, the majority of your plot is going to get plowed every spring. So the main part of your plot will get plowed every spring. There are flags that mark what is called a perennial strip, which is generally at one side of the garden, and it runs along the length of it. And the perennial strip does not get plowed in the spring, so therefore you can plant things in that perennial strip that need more than one growing season. Some people put strawberries, blueberries. Some people put garlic in the fall to harvest again in the spring. So anyway, that's the perennial strip. So we have a perimeter fence up around the entire outside of the garden, as you can see. This does a pretty good job keeping things out, like deer and other critters. But occasionally we do have rabbits and other little things that get in the garden. Some gardeners will choose to fence in their individual plots, and that's great. The only thing you need to remember is that at the end of the season, all fencing and all trellising must be removed and either taken home or placed in your perennial strip for the winter. Well, that's a brief tour of the Lexington Community Gardens. I hope that you have found this video helpful, and we're very excited to have you gardening with us. Welcome!